Hey guys, we recorded a podcast the other day, and Konami absolutely loves us. So the topic was obviously, we were trying to hop on the Joshua Schmidt trend, and then the day later, I think Konami dropped the ban list, and our complete video was just irrelevant. So happy days, so much fun. Konami hate us, but we were talking about floodgates, and then I came across an interesting topic in my opinion. Joe disagrees with me, right? Which is fair enough, but I think artifacts have got to be one of the we'll trigger Joe. Artifacts have got to be one of the most broken archetypes I've seen. Right? Let me present my case. But even when they were introduced in 2014, even the set came out with was just so much degenerate stuff. There was even the what was it? Majesty's Fiend was released. So all the runic lovers, their first card came out back then. But the deck has always just kind of had something absolutely crazy. Even back then, you could Sanctum into a moral type pop, which back then was massive, and that got hit to 1 pretty quickly, within a year or so. Well, that's not quickly, but it was hit to 1, and it still stayed relevant. It was relevant in Shadows, so they could fusion, and then everybody who just played a Sanctum package, and then even into Lancia. Lancia to stop all of these banished decks was pretty crazy. That's been quite relevant for quite a long time, and even to this day as well. Mjolnir, right? Mjolnir just got hit. That just got absolutely murdered on the ban list. It was one of the more degenerate things that we've seen in a long time. Everybody thought the ban list was going to be great, and then it's had this horrible card. But then, we even, the era of the Scythe block. Everybody, because you could, not only can you Sanctum into it, but you could thrust into a Sanctum, into a Scythe. And arguably one of the most worst enablers out there. You could Dagda into a Scythe block, and then make a Halki Firebrax. That could then go into the TG Wonder Magician to pop your own Scythe, and then after you Scythe block your opponent, go off into a Baron de Fleur. Absolutely crazy. So I think this is one of the craziest concepts of a deck out there. I just think it's absolutely broken. I find it hilarious. It's kind of dominated so much of the modern and old era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Obviously, you disagree with me, Joe, but that's why I sparked this topic up with you.
No, so essentially, I think you're right in the sense, but you're kind of half right in the sense where it's you're right with the floodgate ones, right? So obviously Lancia is relevant whenever there's a banished deck, Orcust, Dinosaurs, Malice, and then obviously Scythe has been used throughout side decks and all that there kind of stuff to try to hamper down combo decks.
Yeah.
I guess the problem has always been, right? These floodgate type effects can also be used by the combo decks, which is actually the problem, right? If the deck that was scythe locking you gave you another 2 to 3 turns, right? They're oh, I'm going to produce a scythe lock and then stun you out for a turn. I'm going to set up a bunch of trap cards that were wholesome trap cards, let's say, stuff like Karma Cannon, a pop trap, or something like that, right? Reactionary traps that interact with your opponent. If they were, I'm going to set up my scythe lock, and then you can then play the turn after I get all my stuff set up. That would feel more fair.
Yeah.
The problem is obviously with these lingering floodgates, they don't have if you're the combo deck, if you could just pass against these opponents and then realistically play into the field, it wouldn't feel as bad. But that's not possible. So unless you want to scale the power level of Yu-Gi-Oh! Way down, then I feel like you just have to ban these cards because they create really unfun game states. So I think realistically, everyone sort of agrees we all hate Malice, so Lancia is fine. But the truth is, Lancia is probably not fine. We should be banning Lancia and then also checking Malice enough such that it doesn't matter that Lancia is not there anymore. Then it would also be fine. And then the Scythe and Mjolnir thing is, those are 2 different points. So Scythe is obviously a problem because you have control over your own field and can summon it to your field.
Yeah.
The Mjolnir is kind of a wee bit like how Branded used to sort of Sanctifier with the Gimmick Puppet thing. My personal take on that is I don't mind Sanctifier or Konkiri. I think the problem is actually the random cards that were that Konami was trying to put a lock on a card to make it for an archetype. So they're oh, we'll put this Mjolnir lock on it, and then later down the line, then they print a card, and then they forget they printed Mjolnir, and they're oh, this is a problem, right? So then what you do is you say, right, okay, which one of these cards is more fun? This is my opinion, right?
Yeah.
I think which one of these cards is more fun, which one of these cards can see play and is useful for some things, Princess is useful, Sanctifier is useful, and if they're not doing lock stuff, then the card's actually mid, right?
Yeah.
It's like marginally could be considered playable, right? But then it's like maybe it's not playable. And its playability can be based on whether or not, let's say your opponent needs an open field for evenly, and you're like, oh, I can Queen Query, bring a 5 back to their field or something, and then I play around evenly. The same thing's true for Branded with Sanctifier. My opinion is just ban all the lock cards. I'm even down to like ban Raz Disciple, right? Like just hit them all. Hit the DDD Vice King Requiem. Hit the Ido is now the one that everyone's playing at the moment. The Vice King, Ido, Raz Disciple, and then also Mjolnir as well. But they've already hit Mjolnir, but you get my point, right? Like that's where I sit.
I think it. What would you say? What's the word? Like, it quintessentially boils down to the fact that, which was the big discussion point of that video, was lingering floodgates. We just had 1 million of them hit, and they just suck. They are the worst, and I really feel like artifacts were one of the first archetypes that kind of introduced that concept of a lingering floodgate. And like ever since, there kind of seems to be a lot of these, but I feel like it's so bad for the game, and it feels like this is where Konami started. Like, I don't know if Mistaken Arrest, Shared Rides were around back then, but the thing is, it probably didn't matter as much. Like, you can play Maxine, you can maybe only get 1 or 2 draws, and that was rough, but it's not quite the draw 10 you might get now. But like, it's not as impactful back then, but now it has massive connotations, especially to the speed of the game.
Yeah, no, I definitely think your point about the speed of the game really matters there, is because if you have more turns, right, lingering effects matter less, right? So if you go back in time, you could say, how many turns will the duel last? If you go all the way back to GOAT format, you can be upwards of like 15 turns, right? Not a lot of things are happening in those individual turns, but it is a lot of turns.
Yeah, exactly.
If less things are happening in each turn, your lingering effect lasting for a turn is like in GOAT format saying, oh, you can't play spells for 10 turns, right? And that's the equivalence that we sort of need to get to, which is where I think like the lingering effects are so bad, right? And like why you have to sort of stop them. You could maybe have a thing where it's like they could potentially create some sort of lingering effect that would say, during the next chain or something, that you can't do something. But that's almost sort of just pushing the goalposts further and further away, right? Where you're saying, as long as we're having interaction, it's fine. But you saying no interaction at all is a problem. And because turns are shorter, then this causes the whole bottleneck problem.
I can't think of any other archetype that has caused as many problems as this over such a long period of time. Like you see, one got banned. Well, Scythe got banned 1 to 2 years ago, and then
it's just repeated.
Yeah, and then like
I can see Lancia going to.
I think it'll be good. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if someone clickbaited me, but before I came on, I saw someone said something about Joel getting hit on Master Duel. I'm going to check that now. Yes, sorry. We interlude there. Yeah, so Joel's just been hit as well. That's like another lingering floodgate. Like, more of these seem to be creeping out. We wish Konami would just do it in one foul sweep because they suck. But I feel like just this has been one of the first ones. I feel like this archetype has always been around causing problems. There's been cards that have been around for a long time. Like MST's been existing and like meta relevance in and out for a long time. But like I'd say that
I want to say it.
Oh, sorry.
It probably had a break, right? Like it's been relevant for a long time, and then with the new support or whatever, you could say it's blipped back up. But there was a long window where it wasn't really good anymore. But no, I get your point.
And it's only just become an archetype. So like it was just one card. It wasn't an archetype, whereas this is like the archetype that has caused so many problems throughout all the years. Like you could say, like, can you think of a single other archetype that's floated around for this long?
Not this long, because I think what's interesting is they were released at a time that lingering floodgate effects weren't as big a problem. Right? So like from the period, I think it was like 2014 they were released.
I think so.
From 2014 to now, the game has sped up really, really quick. And because of that, and when they were released, they sort of fall into this weird window of they're kind of like they've really powerful lingering effects, and they weren't relevant at the time. And then as you shorten your turns over the years, then they just get stronger and stronger, right? They're like these fine wine cards, right? They age really, really well. A wee bit like the Nightmares, kind of.
Yeah,
The Nightmares sort of came out, and
that's another
then
one. Yes, you're right.
as people had more and more access to extenders and more and more bodies that they can combo with, they just progressively get stronger and stronger as well. So, yeah.
So yeah, that's like kind of my take. Hopefully, I've convinced you on this, but I think artifacts are like arguably one of the most broken. It's the most broken, like longest living broken archetype of all time. I really can't think of many other things that have like stood the testament of
I th-
time and damaged the meta.
lo- Longest living. That's what you get.
The longest living problem. That is what my mother refers to me.
Yeah.
Shout out mother who occasionally watches these videos. But yeah, thank you very much for watching on my Copium take. Ultimately, Death the Floodgates. Thank you very much.